Hello, algoriters, and happy Monday. Court is back in session. I'm Al Reynolds, and guess what? This is the Court of Public Opinion. I'll be serving as your judge, and you, the viewers, will be the jury. Now, you know, in the Court of Public Opinion is a place where you, the people's voice, can and will be heard. Boy, do we have a show for you tonight, and we have three legal beagles joining us tonight to help us break down all the topics. First up, we have entertainment lawyer, Ashley. Oh gosh,
Valenzuela.
Valenzuela. You know I'm good for butchering the name, Ashley. Welcome back, Ashley. Good to see you back serving here at the Court of Public Opinion. Joining her tonight, we have civil attorney Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. And bringing up the rear is not because she's last, but the spicy, the one, the only civil attorney, Simone Redwine. Simone Redwine,
Hey,
welcome
y'all.
back to the Court of Public Opinion. All right, everybody, don't forget for Shatan Turner, you're going to be using the fire emoji tonight. For Simone Redwine, don't forget she's the red wine emoji tonight. For me, it's the facts emoji. And attorney Ashley, tell us what is your emoji one more time.
Legal Queen LA. It's a crown. It's a crown.
It's a crown. All right. And don't forget that crown for our legal queen, Ashley. I'm not going to butcher your name anymore, Ashley. So, all right, court is now in session. First up, boy, were we shocked to see this weekend. Bronx prosecutor William C.C. Kemp Neal, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. You have landed here because allegedly you were trying to meet up with a 13-year-old boy that you met online. Let's take a look. Bailiff.
Excuse me, everybody! This man right here! Came to be the 13-year-old boy! This man is a pedophile, and you don't see it!
Marcus is a pedophile trying to meet a 13-year-old boy. Let's go. Let's go. Get his bitch ass. He's trying to fuck a 13-year-old boy.
Oh, no.
Yes, you were. Hey, what you here doing, Marcus? You trying to meet a 13-year-old boy? Yeah? You trying to meet a 13-year-old boy, Marcus?
No. This
Yeah,
man's here to be the 13-year-old boy!
Hey,
Nah,
you want to take him to get a milkshake, right, Marcus?
No, I didn't.
You didn't, Marcus? Now you got your ass in a fucking full Nelson right here. Getting yoked up. Child predator in the Bronx trying to meet a 13-year-old boy.
Excuse me, everybody! This man right here came to be the 13-year-old boy!
That's what you get for trying to meet a fucking little boy. Child predator. Child predator right here. Yeah, you trying to get a milkshake with him, huh?
What was it?
You trying to get real familiar.
What you trying to do? I was
Hey, get your ass.
Okay, Bailiff, you can take that down. All right. So let's go to our legal beagles here. I mean, just watching that gives me chill bumps. It's also just makes my stomach turn how disgusting, child pornography or anything dealing with violating a child's rights and an adult being a part of it. It's just disgusting to me. So I want to hear the legal beagles break this down though, because so much is going on in this case and so much of it is stacked. It reminds me of that other show that used to be on where one of the individuals that got caught allegedly or in the process of getting caught later killed himself. And that's what took that show off the air. So let's talk about this a little bit. Let's go to you first, Simone Redwine. What are your thoughts surrounding the legalities of a feminine individual in the process of possibly meeting someone? And other side of that, and this is what we do here on the Court of Public Opinion, is we give you the law. The other side of that is how legal is it for a show to catch a predator to set someone up in this form of fashion? Simone Redwine, what say you?
The problem that they have here is they aren't the police and they're arresting this man. And I know nobody likes child predators, but part of the reason why Chris Hansen was on the air as long as he was doing so was because he teamed up with the police. The police would actually be waiting in a room within the house, and they would be waiting across the street, and they would be recording it appropriately. Because when these things happen, if you want to ultimately take down the predator, the information has to be obtained in a specific way. You can't just necessarily take out your camera and be like, hey, we gotcha. The other thing that's interesting here is this happened back in June, and the gentleman resigned in July. Charges still haven't been pressed against this man. So it says to me that whatever was the communication amongst the parties in that text message did not rise to the level of a crime. So then that also concerns me, because ultimately we don't want vigilante justice, because obviously the layman doesn't learn the law, but we do appreciate and congratulate those who are notifying the police and taking the proper steps.
Right. I love the way that sounds, and I think you're right. Let's go to you, Shatan Turner. Now, this is my question here. What is the law as it relates to meeting up with a child if you are a child predator? What is the law in the state of New York? And I think this is important for everybody to know. And just in general, just in case one of your kids get trapped, what is the law as it relates to meeting a minor in the state of New York?
So as Attorney Redwine indicated, there haven't been charges that have been levied here. However, it appears that if they were going to, and what they're considering is whether or not they have enough evidence to support a luring charge. So luring a child in New York requires that an adult, someone who's over 18, is luring a child, someone who's under 17, into a building, an isolated area, or into a car for the purpose of committing a crime. So all of those elements have to be met in order for the charge to stick. And in this case, as the video indicated, he was in a Target parking lot. So it's possible that these well-intended dads against predators may have tanked this case because they didn't understand the law and they acted too soon.
Right. Now, let's go to you, Attorney Ashley. What about, because we're all about catching a predator now, but we also are all about not being set up. Could the lawyer that's representing this young man say, well, he didn't know the guy was 13? I mean, how many times, and I'm just putting this out there. Once again, I'm not supporting a predator of any sorts. But do we always know the age of the person that we're communicating with if we're on some type of site? Attorney Ashley, can you share with me your insights on that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, mistake of fact is not a defense to a crime, especially a crime of this nature. New York is very clear of the age of consent. It's the age of 17. So anyone under 17 who's being lured, or even if they said, I'm 18, I'm 19, I'm 20, mistake of that fact does not.
Oh, wow.
In this situation,
Got it. Okay, so let me just make sure I hear you. Let me just move this away from this particular case. So Legal Beagles, help me understand if I'm correct here. So if I was online, say Bumble, and I looked at the picture, she looked young in the picture, but she told me she was 16. Because you said in the state of New York, it's 16. So if she told me she was 16, 17, state of New York, 17. But when, only to find out if I was caught by predators, and I find out she was actually 14, it doesn't matter. Is that what I hear you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah, Attorney Valenzuela, what she's was highlighting is these laws harken back to old school times, even though now we're talking about online, because how many times, it's a cliche that, and I'm going to go against the men, that a man's like, she told me she was 21, right? So that cannot be the defense, because otherwise you would never be able to get these charges to stick. And so really it goes into the actual facts.
Got it. All right. I'm enjoying this, because that really is teaching us and our listeners and people that are watching that you've got to dot your I's and cross your T's, especially if you're on these online platforms and you're trying to have conversation going back with people. Make sure that you understand and protect yourself. Last thing I want to cover here is legally, even though they are, doing good by catching predators, are they allowed to rough him up like that, Attorney Simone Redwine? Like, if you were representing him, what would be some of your thoughts around the rough handling there? Is that legal?
No, it's not. And part of the issue is if you catch someone committing a crime, you can detain them for the police to arrive, but you're only allowed to use the necessary level of force. Arguably, he could argue, and if I were to bring a civil case right, which means not criminal, just seeking monetary compensation, I would pursue a civil case against the producers of this show, whoever's brought this episode together, all of them, under the grounds that they assaulted my client, especially in light of the fact he wasn't even arrested.
Right. So this is the other thing, because this isn't the only case that we've covered here in the court of public opinion around this show. This show just seems to be very haphazard. Like, where are the cops in these situations? Why isn't this show alerting the cops? Is it because the cops know about the liability on the other side, and they are just simply going after great television because they know that people are going to watch anything predatory, right? Whether it's a male to a female or a female to a male, we can't get enough of that type of content, and that's why these types of shows always do so well. But legally, you know, why is the cop not there?
Well, Your Honor, we have to be sure that we don't conflate the TV ratings goal with actual justice, right? So the shows market themselves that they are in pursuit of justice. But to your point, if they were truly trying to ensure that criminals were put behind bars, they would better collaborate with the police officers. Often, as in this case, given what we learned about the statute, it's unlikely that they're going to be able to get this attorney indicted for this. And the real sad part is, like, I don't know this attorney. I'm an attorney, so I will hope that he had only good intentions about trying to meet this random child for a milkshake. But what I would say is, if he is truly a pedophile, then these dads against predators have really done a disservice, because they have given rise, as Attorney Redwine said, to potential civil claims by him, including a false imprisonment charge, right? And they have done nothing to protect the children of New York. So they need to do better.
You know what, Attorney Shaitan Turner, I have to agree with you with that. And that's what concerns me the most, that, you know, public opinion, you've embarrassed the heck out of him. Public opinion, you forced him out of his career. And if you're meeting a 13-year-old, they should. But legally, what have you done to protect the kids of New York or the Bronx? We would have to say, you know, legally, you've actually spoiled it. and that's sad, but, you know, in this particular case, that's true. All right, everybody. Attorney Shaitan Turner, thank you for breaking that down for us. And Simone Redwine, don't forget to throw those red wines in the chat along with those fire. And don't forget the Queen hat as well as the fax machines. Next up, Alec Baldwin. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. This isn't your first time here, and guess what? You're no stranger. A New Mexico judge who presides over Alec Baldwin's manslaughter case has said some Mickey weird stuff has been going on, and they want everyone to know about it. Attorney Simone Redwine, can you please unpack this case for us and tell us, is Alec Baldwin going back to jail?
Hell to the no is going to be the answer. And here's why. Okay, this case is one of those cases that, as an attorney, I feel like should have never been brought in the first place as a criminal case. I can understand potentially bringing as a civil case, but as a criminal case where you need levels of intent, they just did not seem to be here. Now, let's not forget, this case was brought and then dismissed and then brought again, because they did not believe, they as in the state, did not believe they could prove their case. Well, in the midst of trial, the case was actually dismissed by the judge, what's called sua sponte, which means the judge evaluates what's going on and says, no way, Jose, because of the fact that the prosecutor withheld evidence. You can't do that. Specifically, an example of the evidence that was withheld was the bullet that was allegedly the same one that took the life of the victim here. You can't withhold that. So this happened during trial when one of the officers took the stand, and that officer stated that during the investigation, he located the bullet that was believed to be the bullet at issue here, and that he was specifically instructed by his superiors not to file it into this case, but to create a new file and put it into a different case number. Therefore, it was never given over to the defense, and the defense was unable to prepare, in that they should have been given ample time to send that off to an expert to have that expert examine it. And then that expert could have come in and testified his opinion as to, whether or not, to what extent this goes against or towards his liability. So in the end, it was the prosecutor's misconduct in withholding that evidence that got the case dismissed.
Okay, Shatan Turner, tell me, a counselor Turner, tell me this though. Alec Baldwin has been acting for 40 years. He's been a director. He's had multiple roles he's been executive producer on movies, etc. Tell me, why would he not, when he received that gun, why doesn't he check the gun? Why doesn't he check the gun? Where's the liability lie with anyone that's on that set? Is someone supposed to check the gun for him? But being on a set for so long and being so experienced in entertainment, why would you not? You're doing a gun scene. Why would you not check the gun, Attorney Turner? I think you're on mute.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Technical difficulties. In truth, I don't have the answer to that question. We could opine all day about why Alec Baldwin didn't check the gun. In truth, the issue is this, right? The issue is the misconduct of the prosecutors. One of the things that got them trumped up is, like a friend of mine and I say, the prosecutors were trying to do too much. They were trying to make out the points that you mentioned, that he was an actor, he was a producer, he had all of this responsibility. And at the time when he had the gun in his hand, he was supposed to be doing all three jobs and making sure that the gun was safe. In truth, it really wasn't his role, because there was somebody employed to ensure that the gun was safe. And that was why the prosecutors got trumped up. This is a tragic case because you have a young girl who died. Nobody knows why. They can't figure out how to make this case stick. And what the prosecutors have been charged with is trying to do some funny business in order to convict Alec Baldwin. And here's an advice I would have for your friends who might live in the hood, who might be brown or black or other. Okay. This is actually really helpful for them, because I'm just saying, police have done shady stuff before and it has impacted those populations at a greater rate. So we need to all be glad it didn't work with Alec Baldwin, because hopefully some of that justice will come for us.
I like the way that sounds. All right, Attorney Ashley, any thoughts as it relates to this particular case?
As far as being in the entertainment industry, an actor, if Alec was just an actor and this was just a movie he was on set for, he would have no liability, no even inkling of a thought to check any of the guns, any of the props, any of those things. But with him being a director and a producer, he does have an increased level of care. It should have crossed his mind, but also, again, in being in the entertainment industry as long as he has been, he's probably never seen something like this happen. So it does go back to, whether he could be held liable in any role in directing, acting, shooting the film.
All right, Simone, we're going to close this out with you. However, even though what I'm hearing in this case is that this poor, I think she was the director of photography, or she may have been the film director. Unfortunately, there's no criminal ramifications for her that her and her family can seek justice. But tell me, what is her next step as it relates to civil? Someone has died on the set of a movie set. And I mean, did the movie come out? Was it canceled? Who was the production company? Who can be sued to bring some type of relief to this family? Because from what I understand, she has a young daughter and a husband that she's leaving behind.
Right. So you'd sue the movie company. You could also add, of course, Alec Baldwin. You could add the armory woman who, didn't do her job. But in the end, I believe she's probably already been paid. She probably just received whatever the insurance policy was. She probably got the policy minimum, because here there's no question there was negligence. And as long as the negligence wasn't on her side, which it wasn't, she's entitled to that money. In addition, interestingly, that may be why we have not seen a civil case, right? There's no pending civil lawsuit. And it would make sense, because what happens is, before you file your lawsuit as an attorney, you send what's called a demand letter. That demand letter is sent and they say, I want the policy limits for your insurance policy. And if you don't give it to me, then I'm going to sue you. Well, once they hand it over, there's nothing to sue for. And in addition, you cannot both get the max of the policy and also separately try to go after Alec Baldwin and his personal stuff. because in order to get the policy max, you have to sign a release that says you're waiving all claims that could have been brought.
Right now, this is my question, and I hate to keep pushing back on this. I think Alec Baldwin and his family got deeper pockets than what the max of that policy could be. So I don't know
Doesn't
that
matter. You have to pick.
You
That's
have
what
to
people
pick
don't
one.
understand. You can't get both.
Ooh,
And so the
got
issue becomes you're guaranteed to get your coins when you're paid by the insurance company. But if
You
you're
have
going to
to
go after
fight.
him, he could put his money in trust. He could do like
Hide it.
O.J. Simpson did in the middle of, the situation, sold his California house and buy a, Florida mansion, and Florida protects your homestead. So the most of the time, because the only time people go after the individual in that situation is if the insurance either isn't worth it, or doesn't exist.
Got it.
Well,
Oh,
one other quick thing to go along with Attorney Redwine's point about the insurance. Sometimes insurance policies have different buckets depending on who and what is insured. So there may have been, and I'm speculating now, an insurance policy for the production company, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
then there may have been a separate bucket for Alec Baldwin as,
Ah,
and so each of those would have policy limits, and they may have been able to combine them. And so to your point
Yes.
about him individually having the deeper pocket, it may not have mattered because they may have been able to recover everything they needed just from the primary.
all right, Tatan Turner. All right, I
Get him,
see you,
girl.
Legal Beagle. Okay. Throw some fire in the chat for that Legal Beagle right there. I think I want her to represent me. Well, I don't need any. Well, wait, I don't know. Okay, moving along. Speaking of entertainers in trouble, Justin Timberlake, you're a little long in the tooth, young man, to be pulled over in the Hamptons for a DWI. Oh my goodness, he was charged with a DWI by a judge in the Hamptons while driving drunk. And guess what? His driver's license is suspended. Attorney Ashley, you're the entertainment attorney here. What in the heck is going on with Justin Timberlake? And this is what I want you to address, Attorney Ashley. What's the difference between a DWI and a DUI? And I also want to unpack what many people don't know is the whole sobriety test thing. And do we have to take the sobriety test when we're pulled over by police? Attorney Ashley, please take it from here.
Great question. So the DWI, DUI, I do get this question a lot, even though it's not necessarily my wheelhouse. It's dependent upon the law of the state, just the terminology. So a DUI, of course, we're more familiar with driving under the influence of anything. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol. DWI, driving while intoxicated, is the same exact offense. It just depends on the statute of that state and what language they chose to use. So in New York, the terminology is driving while intoxicated.
Okay.
Same scenario. But the thing is, in many states, if you refuse to take a sobriety test, whether it's the breathalyzer, if you refuse, it is an automatic suspension of your license. And different states have different terms of the suspension. In New York, it's a minimum of 1 year. And
Got
then
it.
that, because you're refusing to do so, that could jeopardize your defense later if you want to fight it, plead not guilty, which he has done. It will look bad in the court's eyes.
Okay, Attorney Turner, tell me this, and Simone Redwine, I want you to lean in on this as well. Honestly, I would rather have my license suspended than have you be charged with, well, he got charged with drunk driving, or instead of blowing and know that I could be, charged
Absolutely.
with bigger crimes. What say you, Simone?
Absolutely. And here's a little tip and a little piece of tea. In every state in the United States, when this happens, there is an alternative license that you can receive. It's called, in Texas, it's called the SR22. Basically, it's called an occupational driver's license. And
Get to
that's
work.
because an occupational driver's license. And what it will allow you to do is you can use it to go to church, to take your kids where they need to go, to do those kinds of things, to go to work, to anything work related, anything school related. So basically, and you can even get insurance that's SR22 and SR22 insurance, basically occupational license. And that is because under the laws of every state, it is seen as driving is necessary for you to make a living, but also to care for your kids. So every state, even though they suspend your license, always has a workaround. It's just some people aren't aware of it.
Attorney Turner, talk to me why these super wealthy, super successful, especially people that don't look like us, decide to drive while they're drunk. I don't understand what's Uber works in the Hamptons. Why he has all the money. Why doesn't he take an Uber instead of getting behind the wheel of that car and driving while intoxicated?
Money does not necessarily result in having good judgment. Let's just be clear. The other thing is, I think the lesson and the moral of this story is that you can get screwed whether you choose to blow or not blow.
You know what?
That was a good one.
Every time I work with you ladies do something. Wait a minute, y'all got me messed up. If anybody thinks that female lawyers are like straight laced, like they don't know. If nothing else, this panel has taught you that female lawyers can be smart, they can be successful. And they can be very nasty.
I didn't that one. I'm sorry.
Whether you blow,
Whether you blow.
What happens? This is what happens when you have a lawyer who's going through divorce. You need to get you some. You need to get you some, counselor. Oh my God. Okay, all right, everybody. If you're liking the show, be sure to hit that like button. The likes are like it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications because you get to see some fun stuff like this when you join us on our show. And drop down in these comments if you're enjoying tonight's show because you can get in trouble whether you blow or whether you blow. All right, moving right along. The Justice Department is dragging TikTok into the court system. TikTok, welcome to the court of public opinion. TikTok is the parent company of ByteDance, and they're saying that they're violating. The Justice Department said that TikTok is violating the children's privacy laws. Attorney Redwine, can you please help me unpack what this means? Violating the children's privacy laws just feels kind of icky.
Yeah, they're being weird. I mean, as we know, our U.S. government has had issues with TikTok ownership. They have all these issues with this Chinese-based company, despite letting people from China buy up all of our residential properties, own them in conglomerates, make us rent from them, and charge us exorbitant rents without rent control. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Here, regarding TikTok, part of the issue is that TikTok states that you've got to be 13 or older, or you have to have parent permission. And basically, despite these people or people signing up as children, they are still selling their information. You're not, despite parents checking the box to say, no, you can't sell my children's data. And we all have experienced times where you've used TikTok or Instagram, right? And maybe you said like, oh man, I really want to get a nose job. And then all of a sudden, all these, plastic surgeons are appearing in your pipeline. Right. So those same things where they take from adults and then they make suggestions on what to show them, they're doing that to kids as well. And that is a portion of the issue.
All right, Shaitan Turner, you're the I think you're the only attorney on the panel tonight that has 3 kids. What does this mean to you? What does this mean to you? And why is this so bad that the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, is going after TikTok as a parent?
So I'm following this case because I do have 3 kids. Their ages 6, 10, and 13. And the Child Online Privacy Protection Act is designed to ensure that kids under 13 have protection against these companies that can exploit them unwittingly. And so a lot come out recently about how these algorithms that Attorney Redwine was mentioning actually track the habits and the searches of everyone. But children are particularly susceptible when things get pushed at them because they don't have the ability to actually decipher information.
Yes.
And I have to say, as much as people may criticize parents, and as a parent, I'm here for it because everybody got an opinion, it is impossible these days to completely police what your kids do online. And so as a parent, you need to be able to rely that the laws that exist will protect your kids when they're online, just like the police will protect them when they're out at the playground.
Wow, this is just so scary to me. And especially if you had 3, bad enough you got to watch one child and stay on top of them, but to watch 3, and they live online. Yes. Kids live online now in all types of mediums. They live online. So so let me just ask this question, is because I don't have kids. So does that privacy adult content button or filter that they use for parents, half of parents in home and on your devices, does that not protect this as well? Because I think a lot of people who are listening to this might want to know that they're like, well, I have the child protection on. So are they really protected enough with just the child protection as it relates to the content on their television as well as the contents on their phones and their tablets?
Oh, you're talking about like the iPhone setting that you pick to say that you have a kid who's under 13. It protects them somewhat, but here's the challenge, right? Is that the technology has outpaced the legal protection. So this law was developed in 1998. Do you remember what you were doing out in 1988, Al? I think we were kicking it. I think we were kicking it hard, right? We have no recollection of 1998 because we were kicking it so hard. And so the law needs to be updated to reflect what the current concerns are. There's a couple of bills that are proposed that are designed to address this algorithm issue, but the privacy law was just designed to say, let's keep certain information from kids under 13. Yeah, but it wasn't designed to say, let's protect them from targeted marketing that's designed to erode their self-esteem and promote their purchasing practices in a way that's inconsistent with their parents' expectations.
Oh, wow. That's crazy to me. Attorney Simone Redwine, I'm going to close this out with you real quickly. Tell me, this looks like to me just the beginning stages of a full-blown attack on TikTok and ByteDance. I mean, we saw it coming earlier, right? When both Trump as well as Biden tried to put some type of governance around them. I think the lean in from a child's perspective seems like they're starting to build a case. What say you?
I think I agree. I think for a while they've been looking for different avenues to go at TikTok. Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe that this is wrong and children must be protected on the internet. But this also seems like, to some extent, an attempt to fix this smaller problem before it becomes a much larger problem. Because again, remember, we don't know what China is doing with this information. Right. We don't know what they're going to do to create more apps or more things that they can create geared at our American children. Because remember, children over there in China aren't even allowed to use this version of TikTok because it is so damaging to the mind.
That type of stuff just scares the heck out of me. Okay, we got to keep our eyes and ears open as it relates to this case, because when you start messing with our kids over here in the United States, we got to draw the line on this type of stuff. All right, everybody, moving right along. StubHub, I've been waiting a long time, StubHub. Welcome to the court of public opinion. And you want to know why you're here? Because you're stealing our money. That's right. You're preying on customers using a deceptive practice called, what is it called? Drip pricing, guys. I have been waiting for this for so long. When I go on StubHub, I get very upset. It's just like when I go on, and this, I don't fly Spirit anymore. I have, but when you go on Spirit, they're like, yeah, come fly with us for $99, but you don't get a seat and you can't bring your luggage because they add on more prices as you get closer to checkout. Like if you want to actually sit down on a Spirit Airlines flight, you got to buy a seat after the $99, right? Oh, and by the way, if you want to have a seat that fits more than a toddler, you got to buy more. Oh, and by the way, if you want to bring any clothes or even a purse, you got to pay for that too. All right, Attorney Shatan Turner, break down to us about this StubHub thing and why did it take so long for justice to be served with this drip pricing targeting?
Well, justice is still waiting to be served, but the whole notion of this is that somehow, as you indicated for Spirit, is that the advertised price doesn't include the mandatory fees. And so it's designed to deal with the notion of false advertisement, right? The companies are defending and saying it's not false. We actually tell you what you're going to buy, but at the decision-making point, they're not disclosing that information. And so that's what StubHub is being accused of doing. And they're going after them. And as somebody who has bought a ticket, I am here for it.
Yeah, Attorney Ashley, a lot of your clients actually use StubHub as an outlet to promote for their events. Tell me, what are your thoughts as it relates to a kind of a crackdown on StubHub and their unnecessary practices of deceiving the public?
Oh yeah, so StubHub, Ticketmaster, they're notorious for doing these things. I actually have a client working on some other things to get around that in a new company, so I'll have more for you soon. But the trickery that they're doing, they have recently passed law based upon junk fees. You know, you're excited about the tickets, they're $100 here, you're about to put in your credit card information, and all of a sudden they're $250. So there was just a new law passed based on the junk fees, but this case specifically, the DOJ actually used the consumer protection laws because they aren't just talking about fees that are unreasonable. They're talking about protecting the consumer overall. They're misleading. They're just completely tricking and using dark patterns or practices is what the terminology that they're using is, in order to lure the clients into buying tickets, and then tricking them line and sinker at the very last second.
You know what? I've always felt this. I just have always felt this about Ticketmaster and about StubHub. I have always felt that how can they legally get away with this? Simone Redwine, I want to hear you because you know you love chasing the bag as an attorney. Who gets paid if the violation is created? Does this become a class action lawsuit? Because you know it seems like we've seen a ton of telephone, cell phone class action lawsuits, and you end up getting a check for 37 cents because you're one of a gazillion people that is a part of this class action lawsuit. Who actually would get paid and who actually would have to pay in these types of lawsuits as it relates to StubHub?
So great point. So the Justice Department has brought this action. So it is the Justice Department that would receive the penalty. Now, sometimes part of what the Justice Department will do is twofold. It could be that they say, you're going to pay us, the Justice Department, a penalty of this amount, and then you must create a fund where you refund people X, Y, or Z. But more than likely here, what'll happen is there's a penalty paid to the Justice Department, and then a class action will also be filed where everybody will get 35 cents or whatever it's going to be.
Right.
Now, because we want to keep in mind something similar is actually happening. The DOJ filed the antitrust lawsuit against Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster and Live Nation. And interestingly, their only competitor is StubHub. So now all three of them are in trouble. And that's because if you think about it, so and truly Ticketmaster don't got no competition because they killed it all. Because if you think about it, StubHub is really only for local promoter events like Chapman and Kirby here in Houston is like a day party. You get those tickets on StubHub. But anything with athletes, with musicians and large venues, those are all Ticketmaster, Live Nation. Would you agree, Ashley?
I wouldn't agree, only because you can always do the resale. You can always have people that are buying, hundreds of tickets and then reselling them on StubHub and those.
Oh yeah, but
trickled down.
Right. When they did, part of the reason that the government is suing Ticketmaster and they listed them in the petition was because they only allow StubHub to do second level sales. I'm sorry, I was actually confusing StubHub with Eventbrite. Eventbrite is the one generally where that is promoters. StubHub is, the the resellers. But then Ticketmaster also launched its own component where they allow reselling of their Ticketmaster
Resale,
tickets too.
yes.
So, that's unfair to everyone, but it also is what keeps these prices up so high because of the gosh darn fees. These fees are
The fees are it's just like I'm glad somebody's at least pulling the alarm on this. All right, everybody, this is the part of the show where we go to your questions to see what's on your mind tonight. And it looks like we don't have that many, so we can go straight into the judgments. All right, first up, I got to take my glasses off so I can see. Billy Little, welcome back, Billy. He said, no one was arrested. What if any charges can be brought on either side once the police finish the investigation? Attorney Simone Redwine, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Well, what if any charges can be brought on either side?
I think it's the Bronx prosecutor that he's talking about.
Right. And I think Ashley's a bit more familiar. Ashley, are you familiar with the charges that can be brought here against this prosecutor?
Against the prosecutor, as far as without seeing the text messages, I would say the luring of the minor.
All right, Attorney Shatan Turner, you and I talked about this, and this is where there may be a loophole because it was not a single building, it was not a car, and it wasn't in a private area. It was actually in a public parking lot at Target. So is that really something that he should be worried about, bringing charges against that?
If you're the attorney defending him, of course, you would say that they didn't meet the intent of the statute and they didn't meet those provisions. And as Attorney Valenzuela indicated, looking at the text messages might be the secret into getting that charge to stick because it may give more insight into what his intent was. We saw where he was caught, but we don't know where he was trying to take that child.
Right. And I think that's what Amy J may be saying. Is it J or Joy? It's J. Amy J said, but isn't this entrapment? Who wants to take that?
I'll let Attorney take it.
I that was actually one of my first thoughts. So the question becomes, so entrapment is usually where you're, luring someone into a crime. But then there are some outs if it seems as though this was a crime this person was going to commit anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if the entrapment issue is part of why they haven't been able to press charges against this gentleman so far.
Got it. I agree.
As far as my understanding, entrapment is only a defense if they were entrapped by a government agent, a police officer, a DOJ, etc. A private citizen can't necessarily entrap anybody.
Yeah, but it's a television show. See, that's the only thing that's really racking my brain here. It's a television show. So that
is it actually on TV or is it on YouTube?
We're on YouTube and we're a show. I'm just saying.
No, we are. The reason I ask is because, a television show generally has insurance and has those protections. Right. They're going to have security involved. And it really just seems like these are some people that turned on their camera for some YouTube views and really are kind of ragtagging it. And when that happens, you run into issues like this.
Yeah, I don't think a TV show would allow this type of
willy-nilly, right?
Liability, that assault and battery. Outside of everything else, recording him is fine. New York and a bunch of other states are a one consent recording state. We can record the gentleman all we want, but unfortunately,
we can't beat him up.
Liability, yeah.
And I think to Attorney Valenzuela's point about the entrapment, one of the interesting things is that because these are private citizens, they may have, always discussed earlier, fouled the whole thing up by pursuing it this way. But at the same time, since they can avoid being found of entrapment, what's in those text messages is noteworthy because it's going to become a function of who did he believe he was communicating with and what was his intent of when they showed him to get that milkshake. Jeez, and it might be able to be used. Yeah.
It's just like this is a catch-22, right? Even though you want predatory people to be revealed, you want it to be done right? Am I the only one that's feeling kind of like guilty? I don't know if guilty is the right word, but anyway. All right, let's go to Heather Elliott. Heather Elliott said, "Wow, judges allow you to hide assets. I'll have to listen again." I think Simone, she was talking about with the with the O.J. Simpson case. Can you explain what you meant
Right.
by hiding
So
your
no,
assets?
judges don't allow you to hide assets. That's why Tasha K is in trouble right now. But what does often happen is when someone is in the middle of a lawsuit, before there's a judgment, they may move things around. They could sell
Right.
their home. I knew someone who hit and killed 2 people with his car drunk driving after leaving the strip club. So one of the first things that he did was he retained his attorney, and then he sold the house that he was in, bought a house in Texas where it was protected. And because that was before any judgment had been rendered against him, it wasn't considered hiding assets.
Okay, I know this is off the subject, but when a person does that and they put put their house in another name, whether it's in the name of a trust or in the name of a business or whatever it is, is there like a shield that pierced when they do that, or can you still go after them with it in the name of the company?
Well, that's the whole problem with the game, right? That we've been talking about, why that woman hasn't gotten her money for 10 years, because his house is in the name of his manager. And so it does become more difficult, but it doesn't become impossible to collect on that judgment.
Got it. All right, everybody. Let's make sure we throw into that chat those fire emojis, throw in that chat that red wine emoji, and also throw in that chat that queen. We had a great time with our female lawyers tonight covering the cases. This is a part of the show where we give our verdict on all the bad things that all the bad people have been doing. First up is Bronx prosecutor William C.C. Kemp Neal guilty or not guilty for predatory behavior? Attorney Simone Redwine, what say you?
I haven't seen the text message. I haven't seen enough evidence. I'm going to have to say not guilty at this point.
All right, Attorney Ashley, what say you?
In a court of law, I have no evidence in front of me, so I would say not guilty as well.
All right, Attorney Shatan Turner, you have little kids, one that is 13. Is this young man guilty or not guilty of predatory behavior?
I have little kids, and this is the court of public opinion. He is guilty.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge for the court of public opinion, and I'm going to find him in the court of public opinion. He is very guilty, but in the court of law, he is innocent until proven guilty because we really don't know what those text messages says. All right, next up, Alec Baldwin. Is Alec Baldwin guilty or not guilty of taking that woman's life in this manslaughter case? Simone Redwine, what say you?
Not guilty.
So, Shatan Turner, is he guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
All right, entertainment attorney, if this was your client, is he guilty or not guilty?
Unanimous, not guilty.
All right, I'm Al, and I'm the judge in the court of public opinion, and I'm going to find him guilty. Guilty for not checking the gun. You have played too many roles on a movie set. You are the director in this case. You also are the EP of this case. You also are the actor. Man, you found yourself in a media storm because you didn't do the basics, and that's what you're supposed to do, and that's be a seasoned vet and to check all guns before shooting them on any set. I think that's an unwritten rule, and you failed to abide by it. I'm finding you guilty. Next up, who do we have next? Oh, okay, Justin Timberlake. All right, Justin Timberlake. Is Justin Timberlake guilty or not guilty for just being plain out stupid, driving while drunk? Attorney Shatan Turner, what say you?
Well, I've always had a crush on Justin Timberlake.
Oh, God, here we go.
I just want a piece of that white chocolate. But anyway, that's my own personal thing. Okay, back to the question at hand.
Is he guilty? You need to chew on some ice, Simone. You in the blow, and now you want some of him.
He's guilty.
All right, the red wine, is he guilty or not guilty?
He's probably guilty. Guilty.
All right, Ashley, is your client guilty or not guilty?
He did not blow. That man is guilty.
All right, this is Alan. I'm the judge of the court of public opinion. I'm going to find him guilty of being stupid and not exercising his daggone brain. Does he have a cell? You are way too wealthy that you cannot get an Uber or find somebody in that party that you came from to drive you home. I'm going to find you guilty of stupid, guilty of driving drunk, and guilty of not being smarter. All right, next up, The Justice Department, is TikTok taking advantage of our babies? Is TikTok guilty or not guilty, Shaitan Turner, for violating our children's privacy laws?
Guilty.
All right, Simone Redwine, guilty, not guilty?
Guilty.
All right, Ashley, is TikTok guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I'm going to find TikTok. I'm Al, and I'm the judge in the court of public opinion. Guilty. You can do a lot of things to a lot of us, but you cannot mess with our kids. Do you know what it's like raising these young kids these days? We got enough problems. We don't need y'all on the side of the problem. We need you on the side of the solution. Come on, TikTok. You can do better, and you better talk to your friends at BrightDance, because I'll throw all of you out of the court and out of the country too. Last up, StubHub. StubHub, I'm so glad you finally get caught. Maybe this will be used as precedence to shut down the rest of this price dripping that's going on. Shaitan Redwine, is PriceHub guilty or not guilty of drip pricing?
Shaitan Turner? Okay.
Turner. What I thought. Did I say Shaitan Redwine?
You did. You did.
Sounds beautiful. I'd
was
love to have you as a
good.
sister.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're guilty.
All right. Okay, Ashley, is StubHub guilty or not guilty of not letting your clients get the viewers that they need to their venue?
Big guilty. We're just trying to see a show.
Right. All right, Simone Redwine, what say you?
Absolutely guilty.
All right, we're going to find StubHub guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty of just taking advantage of all of us that just want to go see a show, charging us all these fees and wait until the end. And you know we want to go to that show, and you know we're going to pay it anyway. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Better be glad I'm not a part of the DOJ, because I would do it another, like, pay extra for making us pay extra. All right, everybody, that concludes tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed our three legal beagles, Attorney Ashley, Attorney Shaitan, and Attorney Simone. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, be sure to hit that share button. And don't forget to drop down in the comments and check out the rerun. And also set your notifications, and we'll see you Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.